Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston, do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com/DTR for 20% off and free shipping.
Stafford under pressure, going to tuck it, and he's in! Darrell Henderson, he's off and running! As Woods, touchdown! Cooper Kupp just went up and took it away.
Van Jefferson for the touchdown.
Aaron Donald smothers him. Jalen Ramsey put the pop on. Sacked by Leonard Floyd, having a day again.
Darius Williams with a diving hit. Jordan Fuller comes up with his 2nd interception of the night.
Welcome back, guys, to the Downtown Rams podcast. This is episode 366. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen, and Alexis Kraft. We're still kind of on a little bit of hiatus with her. She'll be back soon, and she has not left the show, so don't start those rumors. But, yeah, so we're going to get into it momentarily. Just letting you guys know that, if you guys have seen my YouTube channel, this is basically going to be my video, what I saw from the Rams in the Chargers preseason game. It is on YouTube. It has over 1,000 views, so I do apologize in advance if you've already heard this, but I did want to let you know if you have already, you can back out now. Just wanted to throw this out there because I don't want to re-record everything I already said in regards to the Rams and Chargers if it's just me. If it was Alexis and I, that would be different. But I do feel like that content's out there. I put work into that content. If you guys have any issues with it, definitely let me know. And, we won't post any more, YouTube audio content. But that's what we're going to do in this show. It's going to be pretty much that. So if you've already heard that video, then that's pretty much what you're going to hear the rest of the way. And I'm not knocking you if you want to listen to it twice, but if you haven't seen it already, you can watch the video over on YouTube. But if you want to just listen in audio format, this is that episode. We're going to be talking about the Rams, my takeaways, from the Rams and Chargers preseason game. Before we get into that, though, just want to say a few words from our sponsor over at BetUS.com. Hey guys, with sports betting season in full force, NHL, NBA playoffs, and football fast approaching, you need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity like BetUS. You may already know this, but BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That is BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses. Join now or call 800-69-BET-US. That is 800-MYBET-US. You receive 125% sign-up bonus by using bonus code RAMS125. They have re-up and referral bonuses as well. BetUS is known as America's favorite sportsbook for a lot of reasons. BetUS has all your NBA, NHL, with team and player props and loads of NFL futures and NFL odds up already. You can bet UFC matches and props, PGA golf, and round matchups, as well as live betting on most sports, including golf. The online casino has hundreds of games, and the racebook has all your horse tracks. They have every bet type imaginable, and the Sharp Bet US mobile platform is easy with full betting options. Follow my lead and get your phone, online, and social sports betting partner with integrity and longevity like I did. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS. So once again, that code is RAMS125 for 125% sign-up bonus today. Our listeners will receive that. So we're going to dive right into it. Just letting you guys know this is already pre-recorded. As far as the video, like I said, if you missed that, if you skipped it, this is going to be what was already on YouTube. But I know not all of my listeners are on YouTube. Not all of Downtown Rams listeners follow YouTube, so this will be for you. We're going to have a mailbag episode following this, and we're going to keep you updated. We're going to give you all the latest, especially takeaways on preseason games upcoming. But for now, enjoy the show. Welcome back, guys, to the channel. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I'm going to recap and catch up on what I've missed. I was in Orlando, Florida. I was on a trip. I drove back to New York. I've been a little exhausted, plus made a pretty big decision in my life. Those of you who do know that I did leave my job, so there's that. But I'm really excited to get back into it. This is my first video since being back. I think it's been about 4 or 5 days, so way too long, and it's not going to be that way moving forward, I can tell you that. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to talk about the Rams and Chargers game, just give you my final thoughts on that, and we'll wrap that up in a bow. I understand it's been over for quite some time, but I was able to go back, watch the game, rewatch the game, because I saw most of it on my drive back home, to New York. But I was finally able to rewatch it, and I'm just going to break it up offense, defense, and it's going to be Rams-centric, okay? So this is a Rams-centric video, so you Chargers fans that clicked on this, hoping to get some Chargers insight, I'm sorry, I'm really not going to be able to provide much of that for you. I really just wanted to go painstaking detail into the Rams side of this. So, and of course, for 75% to 95% of my audience being Rams fans, maybe a little too high, maybe a little too low. Either way, let's get into it. Offense, we do have the snap counts, of course, here. We have, right off the bat, Alaric Jackson, UDFA out of Iowa. He started at left tackle, and he played all 56 snaps on the offensive side of the ball. Tremaine Ankrum, my guy Tremaine Ankrum at right tackle. He played all 56 snaps, at right tackle. And then you had Chandler Brewer, who's listed as a tackle here, played at guard, played 56 snaps at guard. So, next up, J.J. Koski playing 48 snaps. That's 86% of snaps, including 4 on special teams. 34 snaps, Devlin Hodges. This is somebody that, started the game, and obviously they saw, Bryce Perkins and what he was able to do, and I'm sure they probably saw, we got to give Hodges another opportunity, see what he can do, because Perkins really checked the boxes in this one, and we'll see moving forward, but I don't know if the Rams can actually afford to cut him. I think he is absolutely going to get picked up during the waiver process. 33 snaps going to Bryson Hopkins. This is his first ever preseason game. Didn't really make a lot of noise, was used mainly as an inline blocker, so maybe that's kind of an idea of what the Rams kind of see in him. Whereas Landon Akers had 31 snaps, including 8 on special teams along with Bryson Hopkins. 30 from Bobby Evans, who did not play all that well, and it was a little nerve-wracking, the fact that this is originally a third-round pick by the Rams, and now he's playing in this game and not looking all that great. Originally he was supposed to start at right guard. Coleman Shelton played at guard, 30 snaps. Jeremiah Colon, they just brought him back. He's been around their training camp facility before. They brought him back again, and he played 26 snaps, as well as Jordan Meredith, the UDFA, who, to me, I think Jordan Meredith has a shot to make this roster. I was very impressed with his ability to move guys from point A to point B. I think he's got some solid size to his credit, but on top of that, I thought his technique was pretty solid. Overall, I want to see more with this guy, but he can play guard or he can play center. So I'm definitely intrigued by Jordan Meredith. The UDFA. Tutu Atwell played 26 snaps. Tristan Jackson played 24, including catching a touchdown pass. That was pretty big. Jacob Harris played 23, and we actually saw him playing into the fourth quarter. They really wanted to showcase him. They wanted to give him an opportunity to really show what they can do. It was a good thing to see him there. It was not a bad thing. Normally you say he's playing in the fourth quarter, he's probably going to get cut. Jacob Harris, they're just trying to get as many reps as they can. That makes sense for him moving forward. Then you had Xavier Jones, who started the game at running back, 22 snaps. You don't want to give him too much, but he also didn't have a preseason last year. He is your number 2 running back, so that's important to keep in mind. Jeremiah Haydell with 22, Bryce Perkins with 22, Jake Funk with 19, Raymond Calais with 15, Kyle Markway with 13, and Ben Skoranek with 4. And he would have had a lot more if he didn't, break his, I believe his forearm. It might have been. So here's my takeaway on the offense. Just kind of watching. I was really, really impressed with Jacob Harris's length, but overall how easily he's able to move. And we knew this, right? But he really has a chance to be explosive this year and just be a different type of playmaker the Rams haven't had. So that I can't stress enough. It was great to see Tutu Atwell and his comfortability in this offense, and how quick he is, and how easily it is for him to accelerate upfield. Great to see guys like J.J. Koski and Tristan Jackson, who spent last year in the building. J.J. Koski on the practice squad out of Cal Poly, UDFA, and Tristan Jackson, UDFA out of Syracuse. Who, let's be honest here, if Tristan Jackson had an opportunity, during the pre-draft process, he might have been able to show people, that he was a 4th or 5th round pick. So Jackson's really having a nice, camp, according to Jordan Rodriguez and others. So that wasn't surprising. But J.J. Koski has definitely, gained some confidence in the coaching staff to be able to play the most snaps of any receiver. I will say I was impressed with Landon Akers' ability to win over the top. If not for a slightly underthrown ball by Devlin Hodges, I think you're looking at a huge big play by Landon Akers. So I think he might be a practice squad candidate. We'll see if the Rams can bring Koski back. I don't know if that's going to be possible with who is out there in the wild. You do have last year Shane Waldron. Now he's with Seattle. So I do think, Shane Waldron knows these guys, especially a guy like Koski, and, could be, a pickup. And another guy I'll mention is Bryce Perkins. I mean, we talked about him a little bit, but Bryce Perkins showed you a little bit of everything he can do and why he was in my top 10 quarterbacks coming out of that draft and what he was able to do as a Virginia Cavalier. But the thing is, more importantly, is that the Rams are put in a rough situation because of who is out there, who they've allowed to go and find other jobs. And that, unfortunately, is the good and the bad and the ugly. When you lose a guy like, say Aubrey Pleasant, who's been there, who has worked with the secondary. Well, now a guy like Dante Dion, who we'll get to the defense in a minute, if you cut him, he's likely going to end up being a target for Pleasant, who's worked with him before, and he's likely going to be, a target for the Lions. Same thing with Shane Waldron, who is the passing game coordinator, offense coordinator, whatever. Shane Waldron, went out and they got Gerald Everett. I wouldn't be surprised sitting there with Geno Smith if the Rams cut Perkins that Waldron doesn't say go out and get him out, however you can. Life is back on sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up on their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS, that is BETUS.com, or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS, BetUS, for 125% bonuses with promo code RAMS125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry, BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. That has just taken off in not only the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system in. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, this spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Thanks to our advanced skin-safe technology, the Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor and a new multifunction on and off switch that can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up the top of your nose and your ears. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Don't forget about the crop preserver, ball deodorant, and the crop reviver to help your little planets be on their A-game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls, Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Dual threat quarterback makes a lot of sense. He looked extremely confident. He looked extremely comfortable. You love to see that out of Perkins. And to me, I think he has a potential role as like a Taysom Hill in this offense. So I do think they should try, no matter what, to keep him. But it is hard with the restricted 53-man roster that we won't get into how ridiculous it is, especially during COVID times. But let's go into the defense, okay? We talked a little bit about the offense. Let's talk about the defense. What do I take away from the defense against the Chargers? Well, first and foremost, shout out to Donovan Olumba, who played 44 snaps, which is the second highest of anybody on the defense for the Rams, after being signed nearly a week ago, okay? This guy played against the Rams when he was on the Cowboys back in 2019's preseason, okay? He's bounced around a little bit. He joins the Rams, and they throw him in there, and he played 44 snaps. I don't think he was that bad. I thought Bronte Harris, who played 52 snaps, 88% of the game, was very impressive. When picked on, I mean, this guy really, they had it out for him. They were trying to make him pay, and I thought, he belonged. Whether he makes the roster or not is to, be determined. Number 3 was Jake Gervas, who was listed as a strong safety on the snap report, but he played at linebacker. He started the game at linebacker. You guys know I love this guy. I don't think he blew up. I don't think you got to see a ton out of him, but I do think it's a good sign that he started, and it tells you the Rams are trying to work with him. Maybe he wasn't going to make it as a safety, but they're giving him an opportunity to potentially make this roster as a linebacker. And if not, you have a versatile linebacker / safety on your practice squad if you can, work that. On top of that, you have J.R. Reed, who I've talked about numerous times, has, familiarity in a training camp setting, going back to the Jaguars with new special teams coordinator from the Jaguars, Joe DeCamillis. So I was a fan of, going out and getting him. He had an opportunity to come on the 53-man roster down the stretch last year, special teamer. But what we saw is something we haven't been able to see with J.R. Reed, is we saw him in a preseason game in a starting environment, and I thought he played extremely well. There was a play in particular where you have Brendan James, and, of course, Rashawn Slater, the top offensive tackles that the Chargers drafted, and they completely take the interior defensive line of the Rams out of the play. And so really at this point, this handoff is going to be brutal. I think it was to Roundtree, and Larry Roundtree has a giant hole, but what ends up happening is that J.R. Reed plugs the hole by himself so well. Just a great sound tackler, creating a base and just not, falling off that. So I thought J.R. Reed really played extremely well. On top of that, the guy that also started next to him was Juju Hughes, the guy that for having a toothpick in his mouth, but you should know for more than that. This is somebody that I thought played extremely well as well, and those two both played 8 snaps on the special teams unit, so I think they're going to have an opportunity to both make this roster. It's going to be tough, but with the recent injury to Nick Scott, it may not be that bad, but it may be an excuse to add another defensive back, just in case. They've had injuries to Burgess, they've had injuries to Rapp, they've had injuries now to Scott and Fuller. So everybody in that safety room has been hurt in a short amount of time, over the last year. So I do think they might keep an extra defensive back because of that, and Hughes and Reed make a lot of sense because of what they can do on special teams. We move on, of course. After that, Ernest Jones started with Jake Gervas at inside linebacker. He was the green dot. He called the plays at the beginning of the game because there was all sorts of issues going on where he was entirely left on an island on that 20-something play drive. Raheem Morris confirmed on that, so that was something to point out there. I thought he played very well, had command, and I definitely think he has a chance to start when the season starts. Ernest Brown didn't really see a ton of, he didn't really blow up, but he was used as a defensive end and as an outside linebacker. They were just kind of using him all over as like that, that John Franklin Myers type of player, like I mentioned in my preview. Didn't see a ton, which isn't a horrible thing. He didn't stand out in a horrible way, but I didn't see him flash, so to speak. 38 snaps for him. Kareem Moore, same thing, but this is a good thing. When you're a corner and you're quiet, that's a good thing. You don't want to be a corner and have to make a ton of plays and not make them. You'd probably rather just be the guy that's doing his job, and I thought Orr did a nice job of shutting down his man to the point where you really didn't hear much of him, played 38 snaps. There are just a ton of guys here. I think Jonah Williams is another one who made an impact, and I've mentioned him, how well he performed against the Cowboys in that joint practice. Jonah Williams had 32 snaps, and he almost had 2 back-to-back sacks in this game. I thought he played very well. I thought he played extremely well in the Rams and Cowboys joint practice, and I think he has the inside track to make the roster over all those guys where you're talking about Eric Banks and Silvonic, who unfortunately was just recently cut. All those guys, Michael Hoyt, all of them. I think Jonah Williams has the inside track over all of them to be that next man. So we'll see as, this rolls on. Chris Garrett played 25 snaps at linebacker, outside linebacker, showed his ability in coverage, of course, in the joint practices. But I thought you really saw, with that long arm, you really saw that he has a variety of moves to get to the quarterback. I thought he played very well, showed off some flashes, and I'm really excited to see him get more play moving forward. He probably should have started the game, but the guy who ended up starting the game was none other than Justin Lawler, who is a former 7th-round pick out of SMU. The team has not given up on. He has been on the IR back-to-back seasons. It was tough, but they continued to stick by him. 24 snaps, 7 on special teams. This guy was an absolute maniac. He was all over the football. I think he had 6 or 7 tackles. I mean, he was really, impressive. Lawler in general, just constant pressure. They didn't even give him a sack. I had 2. So it's tough, when a guy gets rid of the ball and you have to decide whether his knee was down. I think that they probably skimped him, but he was just all over the place. Lawler looked like a man amongst boys, so I think he definitely was the player of the game on both sides. So that's a really good sign for the Rams because he was supposedly the backup to Leonard Floyd, who suffered a little bit of an injury. They're saying he's going to be okay, but if he's not, then Lawler I would expect to start, and I think there's a chance that Lawler has done enough where he can start competing with the other side to actually start next to Floyd, where you have Justin Hollins and you have Okoronkwo and you have Lewis. I wouldn't be surprised if he turned enough heads, from his performance and the camp that he's having, according to Jordan Rodriguez, where he starts to, he actually starts. Shout out to the Rams for sticking with him, though. I thought that was really cool that they did that and gave him that opportunity. Next up, I missed Silvonic, had 25 snaps, but he's no longer on the team. You had Eric Banks having 24. Marquise Copeland had 23. Banks made a couple plays. Copeland made a couple plays. Moncrief at linebacker, 21 snaps. He was cut. Christian Roseboom, 21 snaps. Probably would like to see more, but probably was a sign since they cut Moncrief that he's no longer on that tier and kind of moved a little bit up. So we'll probably see more Roseboom in either game 2 or game 3. Troy Warner got 21 snaps as well as Paris Ford. They didn't really stand out to me, so we'll see as preseason goes on. It's just one game. Hoyt only got 20 snaps. Daka got 19. Maximilian Roberts unfortunately was cut. I think there's also a chance he was cut early on to try to sneak him onto the practice squad. You cut a guy early, then the next wave, recency bias kind of overwrites him being cut. So maybe that was the case with him. Then you have Bobby Brown, who played 15. They love him, man. I'm not worried about Bobby Brown only playing 15 snaps, coming off a torn UCL in his thumb, and just trying to get his feet wet. Good for them. And then lastly, Tyler Hall, who was signed like days before this happened. He got 14 snaps, has familiarity with Raheem Morris, and they didn't cut him. So good sign for Tyler Hall. But I was definitely impressed with, some certain players really stood out to me. Justin Lawler is a guy 100% that you have to feel good about if you're a Rams fan. A guy that may not have been on your radar in the past, may not have been on your radar now, but should be. And Bryce Perkins showed you that, look, this is the new age Rams quarterback. They want a guy that can move around. Doesn't need to run, but they want a guy that can move around. So all in all, the Rams come away with a loss, which it's preseason, so I'm not going to put too much emphasis on, 13-6. But more importantly, they come away with a very minimal amount of injuries. It's really unfortunate to see Ben Skoranek go down potentially for the year. But at the same time, the Rams have a lot of depth at wide receiver. It's probably better to try to, then you can add him to the IR, and you could probably just stash him. But on top of it, you have to keep this in mind. Skoranek was going to be wide receiver 6 or 7. So losing him, obviously you never want to see an injury, and I like Skoranek. But they kept themselves pretty healthy in this one. So you have to feel good about coming out with very minimal injuries, getting these guys opportunities. At the same time, you're able to rest and sit these 35 plus, however many guys Sean McVay sat, because for the most part, you didn't see any starters, and you didn't really see, too many backups either. Important backups did not play in this game. So, fun to watch. Definitely a fun game, despite the fact they only scored 6 points. You definitely see the big playability from Jacob Harris. You definitely see how Tutu Atwell is going to fit in. It's going to be long-term. They drafted him because they have now created a position to basically have 4 starting wide receivers. They've created a position for Deshaun Jackson, and he is simply going to replace Deshaun Jackson after Deshaun Jackson leaves. And I think that was made very clear, especially, the way they want to use him. And I think until then, he's going to be used as a punt returner, a kick returner potentially, the backfield, end arounds, trick plays, etc. That's going to be how they use him as a gadget guy. So I hope you guys enjoy this. A little bit longer video, but I want to cover everything, and I feel like I owe that to you guys. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JKBogan, and let's discuss in the comment section below. Until next time, I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bet with the 3-decade leader, BetUS. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus with crypto using promo code RAMS125. And bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DTR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and make sure to use code DTR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.